All right, we'll play a little name association with some of the other players, and we start with Ryan Johansson, who certainly had a breakout year.
Yeah, he did. He did, and he's still got not a long way to go, but he's got lots of future ahead of him. This young man could be as good as he wants to be. And it's another important summer. He had a great summer last summer, first time in his career where it really all clicked in. And he was getting tired of being criticized. And he went to work. And boy, did it show. He's got enthusiasm, he's got spirit, and he's got talent. And he's got a body that can put on another 10 pounds or more of proper muscle and be bigger and stronger and faster. So it's fun to watch a young man just get started.
Another player who excelled in the playoffs, Brandon Dubinsky.
He's got a fighting spirit that is really noticeable when you get into these situations. He would lose the puck and then he'd get it back because he was going to get it back. He just, when we needed something offensively down a goal, you could see him try to pull a team. I mean, he's got the ability to go out there, and when he's playing his game, he's feisty. He's got the ability to make everybody on his club pay attention. He can alienate players on the other team, which is good. He plays with a raw emotion, which is good.
Jack Johnson.
Yeah, Jack had a great second half for sure. And same with Brandon Dubinsky. Their first halves were, and everybody goes through it. Our whole team went through it in some ways. But when it clicked on, and they wanted to prove something to some people, both of them went to work. Jack Johnson down the stretch and in the playoffs was what we term a horse. He was unstoppable. He could play 35 minutes if he had to. I admire the fighting spirit that the man has.
Sergei Bobrovsky.
Yeah, Sergei, we had a long talk after the season. It was his first full season as a starting goaltender. He went through a lot knowing that he, along with the club, had a bit of a slow start, then really got going, and then suffered a pretty good injury, which was tough. Got going again, then had the Olympics. Then came back and got going again. A lot of games in very few days because of the compressed schedule, the Olympics. So it was a different season, yet Bob's Bob. I look forward to him because I know there's very few players in the entire world of NHL hockey that prepare and work harder than he does. So I expect him to come back next season ready to go and have a great season.
A couple more players before we move on. Mark Pt.2, certainly an underrated player who showed tremendous leadership on and off the ice.
He's quiet, but he's quietly a leader. He's quietly a good player. He's a committed player that does anything the coaches want. The coaches certainly trust him because he's intelligent. You need a guy to kill a penalty, there he is. You need a guy to win a faceoff, there he is. You need a guy to play the point in a power play if necessary, there he is. He's got an underrated shot. He's a jack of all trades that understands his role. And there's something very interesting about hockey players, and everybody's different because everybody in the world has a different personality. And then when you get 25 guys in a room, you've got 25 different personalities to work with. Some come from different countries, different cultures. So a coaching staff's job is to try to get the best out of each individual, and for the individuals to do their part to be prepared to be a player and be a professional player. You love players that are zero maintenance. In other words, they do what they're told, they show up on time, they don't complain, they work their tails off and give you everything they have. And Mark Pt.2 is one of those guys.
You mentioned the coaching staff. I don't think they've been given enough credit here across the board for the job that they've done, from head coach Todd Richards to his support staff, and of course, associate coach Craig Hartsburg.
Yeah. It's a group that has a lot of fight in them. I'll go back to not this season, last season. I went in about midpoint of the season. We weren't doing well. We kept losing 2-1, 1-0, 3-2, 2-1. And I sat down and said, we got to keep fighting, keep playing hard, and see some growth with players. If it doesn't go well, we're going to really get ourselves, it's a good draft year, we'll do well with the draft, etc. And Todd Richards said, no, I got to find a way to win, got to find a way to win. And you know what? They started to win. And we missed it by half a point, the playoffs. We tied in the last spot, lost the tiebreaker. And I admired the fight in them. And then this season, again, we had a bit of a slow start, but the coaches, they spend their time, they do their video work, they talk to players, they scout, they do everything, and they found a way to find our game again. We have to, and it's up to us as management, players to train and coaches to coach and run a camp, find a way to have a better start. And that's on the coaching staff too. But I've admired their tightness. I don't get complaints from players. They work hard, and they've done a nice job.
Frustrating season for Nathan Horton. Of course,
Yeah.
the big free agent signing a year ago. Your thoughts on this past season for him and moving forward?
Well, I knew, and you and I had talked about it, and others, that with that shoulder surgery, that who knew where it was going to go. And when he got back, he came out of the chute with full of adrenaline and played pretty well. And then there was another injury that hit, and nobody expected that, with the abdominal wall tear. He had to go to see the doctors and have it surgically repaired. So all in all, it was a tough season for him, very frustrating season for him. But I know, in knowing people who have coached him, people who have been around him, teammates, seeing his attitude here, he now has, from right now all the way through till September, to really work his tail off, to recapture that conditioning level that he needs, that he had a hard time getting to because of injuries, because of surgeries. Not for the lack of work, he worked, but he's now got time on his side. When he had the shoulder done, it was in July. When he had the abdominal wall done, it was just 6 weeks ago. So now he's got all this time, and I really believe that he's going to come into camp and have a healthy body, which refreshes the mind, which gives you a fighting chance to be the player that you can be. So I really look forward to getting Nathan back. I think it drove him crazy not playing, especially in the playoffs, because he loves the playoffs. But he's ours. He's going to be a big asset for us, and I can hardly wait to see Nathan Horton healthy, playing well for our club.
Looking ahead, we talked briefly about the fact the team went into this season and played the entire season without a captain. Are you inclined with the success of the captaincy by committee, so to speak, to continue that moving forward next year?
What's interesting is, again, a lot of people have opinions, and again, I like that, because that means people are paying attention and they care, so they've got opinions, and they get frustrated if we're not winning, and maybe that's the reason why. I've gone to lots of libraries. I don't see a book out there that says, here's how you have to have a captain, or here's each team has to have a captain. Here's a book on being a captain. I haven't seen that. So we take our group and we address our group and we look at them and we say, you know, we've got some pretty good guys here. And should it be this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy? Maybe all of them. We feel that the way we've done it for 2 years is working. So I don't think we're going to mess around with that. It doesn't make any sense. If there's somebody, and I'm not saying that there is nobody, but if there was somebody that just, then that's automatic. But we've got lots of good guys. Our room's not a problem. Our room's good. Our exit meetings, it was interesting, a number of our players talked about how the tightness of that club this season was tighter than when they had junior teams they played on, college teams they played on. It's enough for me. That means they police themselves, it means they care about each other, and that's good stuff.
In closing, actually 2 questions here. Number one, dealing with the summer ahead and obviously the draft and potential free agency and trades. Do you expect this to be an active summer for the Jackets?
I think we have to evolve as a franchise, as an organization. This season we came a long way, but we have a long way to go. And you can't move forward by being stagnant. You can't do it. So we'll look at every aspect, which kids we think will be ready to join us. We'll look at free agency. It's got to fit. There's no sense in giving somebody too many years and too much money. It hurts your franchise. We want to make improvements without hurting the good chemistry and love of each other this team has. So it'll be a very interesting summer, but I think there will be changes for sure. Every team goes through them. How many, what they are, I don't know yet, but we have to continue to move up the mountain.
Final thought, You were a player in the National Hockey League, as you mentioned. Obviously, a broadcaster, acclaimed broadcaster for a long, long time, John. So you've been around the National Hockey League for 3 decades.
4 decades now.
Well,
I'm old.
I'm almost right there with you. Have you ever seen a fandom here in Columbus like we saw during those
It was
Stanley
great.
Cup playoffs?
I've seen it in 2 places. This one here, which was really something to remember. It's something that you get fixated into the games. I will look at tape during the off season and be reminded of how great it was, and how they can push players. I mean, we were down 4-0 in the last game, and these people stayed right with us. And the next thing you know, it's 4-3, and a lot of it had to do with the push from the fans. It was astonishing. I saw that last season, the last game against Nashville, when we were just okay in our game, but they pushed us to a win. Outstanding. And the only other time I saw it was when I was a player with the Rangers in '79 in the playoffs, Stanley Cup Finals at Madison Square Garden, and it was electric. Both places were very, very similar, absolutely electric. And it's something that stays with you and will for the rest of my life.